Okay, good afternoon, Jairo.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Today we are going to study the lifelong learning. This is the session number 6, the final section of this tutoring that I am giving you. So the idea is that you can study the whole lesson in order to prepare for the exam. I consider the exam will be available for you in maybe in 2 or 3 days. Okay, did you understand me? Do you got it? ¿Entendiste?
Okay. Yes, teacher.
El examen estará listo para vos en uno de estos días, ¿oíste?
Ok. ¿Cómo para cuándo? ¿Lunes?
Creo que el lunes
Ok.
5, algo así.
Ok, teacher.
Ok,
Está bien.
okay. We are going to study grammar focus, would rather and would prefer, okay? Okay. This is grammar focus, would rather and would prefer. Would rather takes the base form of the verb. Would prefer usually takes an infinitive. Both are followed by not in the negative. Would you rather take a business or communication class? I'd rather take a communication class. I'd rather not take a communication. I'd rather not take either. I'd rather take another course than study business or communication. Would you prefer to study business or communication? I prefer to study business, or I prefer not to study either. Let's join a club. I'd rather not join a club. I'd rather not. I'd prefer not to join a club, or I prefer not to. ¿Entendés el significado de estas expresiones?
Prefiero, preferir, preferiría,
Exactamente. Prefiero,
prefiere,
preferiría,
ah,
o quizás también rather.
rather.
Quizás no los acompañe el club. I'd rather not join a club. ¿Verdad? Would you prefer to study business or communication? ¿Prefieres estudiar negocio o comunicaciones? I prefer to
Yes.
study business. Prefiero estudiar negocio. O I prefer not to study either. Prefiero no estudiar ninguna de ellas, ¿verdad?
Correcto.
Okay.
Correcto.
Here are the rules for using would rather, would prefer, and prefer correctly. The first table looks at how we can express a specific preference. The second shows us how to express general preference. Okay, in this chart you can observe would expressing a specific preference, prefer and would, and also rather. Here we have, when we speak about one specific preference, would rather and would prefer have the same meaning and are interchangeable. Dicen que significan lo mismo y pueden ser intercambiables, ¿verdad? Entonces, would rather can be abbreviated to the apostrophe and the. Rather. Would prefer can be abbreviated to apostrophe, the, and prefer. Would rather is followed by the infinitive without to. Would prefer is followed by to plus an infinitive or a noun. ¿Entendiste aquí? Mira, would rather is followed by the infinitive without to. Would rather. Por ejemplo, aquí, mira, would rather can be abbreviated. Would rather can, no podemos meterle ahí el to can, porque sería ilógico que usando un modal vayamos a meter el to ahí, el infinitivo. No se puede. Es incorrecto. Would prefer is followed by to plus infinitive or a noun. En el caso de would prefer, sí es seguido por la expresión o por la expresión to infinitives.
Yes.
Vamos a verlo aquí. When we went to the theater yesterday, today I would rather go to the cinema. We went to the theater yesterday. Today, I would prefer to go to the cinema. The next one, I'd rather go to the cinema. I'd prefer to go to the cinema. I'd rather have fruit juice. I prefer to have fruit juice, and I prefer fruit juice. This is an example that you can appropriate of all of them in order to practice more and more. In this case, prefer and rather. Using prefer, would rather, and had better. This is the next activity. Using prefer, would rather, and had better. Using prefer, would rather, and had better. Prefer. Prefer in contrast, would rather prefers to general preference, not current ones. Prefer is followed by a verb in the ing form and to. Example sentence. I prefer bicycle to motorcycle. Do we prefer drinking tea to coffee? They would prefer you coming tomorrow. I prefer working doing nothing. Do you understand this expression?
Yes, yes.
They are very easy. Would rather. Would rather is used to say that one person would prefer another or others to something. Would rather is followed by the pair infinitive and done. Example sentence. I would rather have a coffee than a tea. I would rather not go out tonight. I would rather watch the movie at home, or I would rather have breakfast. Preferiría, ¿verdad? Preferiría.
Yes.
En este caso, en la primera es prefiero.
Prefiero.
Yo prefiero bicicleta que la motocicleta, pero en la siguiente es, con would rather es preferiría café que té. Yeah. Is a person offer you a cup of coffee or maybe a cup of tea, you will say, I would prefer coffee or I would prefer tea. What would you like to drink? What would you like to drink? I would like to drink a cup of coffee. I would like to drink a cup of tea. Or maybe I would like to drink a glass of water. Or maybe I would like to drink a shot of vodka, for example.
Yes.
Yeah. Had better. Had better is used to give advice. Yeah. Advice en este caso es, ¿qué significa advice?
Dar consejos.
Dar consejo. Give advice. Exacto. Y it is wrong with the verb infinitive without to follow least, for example. Here we have, had we better let him know? They had better choose a cheaper hotel. You had better not cry. We had better review all subjects before the math exam. Can you understand this expression, had better?
Yes, teacher. Had better también significa será mejor o más vale.
Ajá.
Los dos puede ser, ¿verdad?
Sí. Had we better, pero en la pregunta, mira, had we better let him know?
Será mejor que se lo hagamos saber.
Ajá, que se lo hagamos saber, sí. O they had better choose a cheaper hotel. Sería mejor que ellos escojan un hotel barato, ¿verdad?
Un hotel barato.
Exactamente, eso sería. Sí. It's very easy to understand, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay, the first activity is about a video. You will have the opportunity to watch the video by yourself, okay?
Okay.
Okay, would rather. Would rather. Can you read, please, this reading, Jairo?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Okay.
I would rather, I prefer, I would prefer. Is used as a modal auxiliary verb.
Okay.
It is
Follow.
Follow nada más. Follow.
Sí, follow.
By the infinitive
Without to. Without to.
Without to.
Okay.
When its subject is the same as the subject of the next verb. This happens when we talk about what we would prefer to do. I would rather or I'd rather stay with you.
You,
I
okay.
would prefer to stay with you. What would you rather do instead?
Do instead.
What would you prefer to do instead?
Instead, okay.
She'd rather not see me. She'd be happier not to see me.
Okay.
Wouldn't
Wouldn't
you
you,
rather
wouldn't
wouldn't
you rather, wouldn't you
wouldn't
rather,
wouldn't you rather stay on the beach? Wouldn't you like it better if we
stayed
stayed
on
on
the
the
beach?
beach?
Okay.
Would rather is followed
If
by
I,
by a past
subjunctive,
subjective.
subjunctive,
When when its subject is different than the subject of the
following verb.
following verb. This happens when we talk about what we want. S-
Someone else to do.
¿Cómo se lee?
Someone else to do.
Someone else to do.
Okay.
The past subject
The past
is
subjunctive, the past subjunctive
something is
conjugated
conjugated in the same
in the
way
same
as
way.
the simple past except for to be.
Okay. Continue, continue.
I'd rather that you come another time. It prefer you to come another time. She would rather that he wasn't so angry. She would prefer him to be less angry.
Okay.
Bruno would rather that Icarus
Icarus didn't
didn't,
say.
didn't stay so late at the office. Bruno would be happier if Icarus didn't stay so late at the office.
Okay.
Not
The note
the verb to prefer is a
synonym, a synonym,
synonym of would rather but has
slightly more formal.
slightly more formal, impersonal tone.
Tone. Okay. We use
We use would rather or the rather to talk about preference on thing to another. Would rather has two different
construction.
construction. The subject are
Underline.
underlined in the example.
Okay. Compare. I'm gonna read. The same subject plus base form. Different subject plus past simple clause. I'd rather stay at home than go out tonight. Okay, we are going to compare with the right sentence. I'd rather you stay at home tonight. The next one. I'd rather not to go out tonight. I'd rather you didn't go out tonight. In negative sentences with a different subject, the negative comes on the clause that follows. Not, I'm gonna watch this. Not, I cannot display this. Okay. She'd rather you didn't phone after 10 o'clock. Note, she wouldn't rather you phone after 10 o'clock. The same subject. When the subject is the same person in both clauses, we use would rather, not followed by the base form of the verb. Example, we'd rather go on Monday. Not, we'd rather to go or we'd rather going. More than half the people questioned would rather have a shorter summer break and more holidays at other time. I'd rather not fly. I hate planes. When we want to refer to the past, we use would rather plus have plus ed form. Perfect infinitive without to. This is the example. She would rather have spent the money on holiday. The money wasn't spent on a holiday. This is the explanation. I'd rather have seen it at the cinema than on DVD. I saw the film on DVD. Different subjects. When the subjects of the two clauses are different, we often use the past simple to talk about the present or future, and the past perfect to talk about the past. Example, I would rather they did something about it instead of just talking about it. What is the explanation here? In past simple, to talk about the present or future. Would you rather I wasn't honest with you? Past simple to talk about the present or future. No, would you rather? I am not honest with you. This is incorrect. I won't be honest with you. I'd rather you hadn't ranked me at work. Past perfect to talk about the past. This is the explanation. You need to take care with with this expression. In what cases can I use, for example, the future, and in what time what I'm going to use the simple past or past simple? Would you rather I wasn't honest with you? I wasn't. No, in past simple. Past simple to talk about the present or future. This is incorrect. Would you rather I am honest with you or I won't be honest with you? This is the expression. It's a little bit complicated, but if you study in a conscious way, you will have the opportunity to create good grammar sentence, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay, would prefer. We use would prefer or prefer followed by a two infinitive or a noun to talk about the present and future preferences. Example, I prefer to go by myself. Would you prefer a quieter restaurant? This is easy, Jairo. I prefer to go by myself. Prefiero irme por mi cuenta.
Okay.
Would you prefer a quieter restaurant? ¿Preferirías un restaurante más silencioso? She'd prefer not to drive at night. Ella preferiría no manejar de noche. ¿Verdad?
Yes.
When we want to say that we would like to do one thing more than another, we can introduce the second thing with rather than, followed by an infinitive without to. Example, I prefer to go skiing this year rather than go on a beach holidays. ¿Ven? Aquí dice que él preferiría irse
De vacaciones.
a patinar, algo así, ¿verdad?
Esquiar.
O esquiar este año más que ir a
De
una
vacaciones a
playa
la
de
playa.
vacaciones, ¿verdad? When we are talking about our preferences for the action of another person, we can use would prefer plus object pronoun, plus to infinitive, or would prefer it if plus past simple. Example, they prefer us to come later, or they would prefer if we came later. Would you prefer me to drive, or would you prefer if I drove? Typical error. Esta typical error. We used to infinitive after prefer, not an infinitive without to. I prefer to drive. No, I prefer drive. We need to use to, in this case, after prefer to use an infinitive. Whenever I have time, I like to read, but I prefer not to read in the evening. Not, but I prefer not read in the evening. This is a mistake. It's a common error. We make comparison using to or rather than, not just than. A lot of young people prefer computer games to football. Or a lot of young people prefer computer games rather than football. This is a good expression. Not a lot of young people prefer computer games than football. This is wrong. We need to use infinitive. ¿Entendido, Jairo?
Yes, teacher.
Use to football, and this is than football. It's not correct. We have to take care with this expression, okay?
Okay.
In class activity preferences, okay. About you, select the answer based on what you do for each situation. When you make a mistake in English, would you prefer someone to? What would you add in this case? When you make a mistake in English, would you prefer someone
Someone correct me.
or someone to do the exercise?
Yes.
¿Ya?
Yes.
Cuando cometes un error o cuando haces un error en inglés, preferirías que alguien más haga el
Oh.
ejercicio por vos. Someone to do the exercise for you.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, the next one. When you hear a new word in English, would you rather? ¿Qué sería el complemento?
Someone explain me. Que alguien me explique. O sea,
When you
que
hear a
alguien
new
me
word,
explique.
cuando escuchas una nueva palabra en inglés, would you rather?
Someone explain it to me.
Someone explain or to
Sí,
explain or to explain.
explain.
To explain.
Explain.
To explain. Remember that in this case you need to use the infinitive way. La forma infinitiva. Yeah. La
Yes.
forma infinitiva. If you don't understand that someone says, would you rather? If you don't understand what someone says, si no comprendes lo que una persona o alguien te dice, would you
Que
rather?
alguien, que that someone sería explain, digo yo, que alguien me explique o cómo sería. ¿Cómo lo
Explain again. To explain
explain?
again. Yeah.
Yes.
To explain again.
Explain again. Okay.
Okay, the next one. Would you prefer to speak English with?
¿Con quién ¿con quién preferías hablar inglés?
Ajá.
White friends?
With
Friends.
with my friends or with your teacher or maybe with native speakers. Do you know these native speakers? Es alguien que sepa inglés nativo. En este caso, un americano.
Yes.
What would you prefer? What would you prefer? With your friends, with your teacher, or maybe with native speakers?
With your teacher.
With your teacher, or maybe with your friends. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move to grammar focus by Gerans. It's delaying. Está tardando la carga.
Yes.
¿La miras allí vos?
No, 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 no.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Maybe my internet. I don't know what happened there.
Teacher, estoy entrando ahorita a la plataforma y no me sale nada tampoco.
¿No te sale nada?
No.
Pues entonces es un error allí. Bueno. Bueno. Entonces, si no
Me
te
sale
sale
en
nada
blanco
allí,
igual.
entonces está en blanco la página.
Sí, está en blanco.
Vamos a ver aquí de nuevo si puedo entrar. Sí, pues es error de la plataforma allí, ¿oíste?
Ok, teacher.
Está vacío. Oh, este está vacío. Okay. But I consider this is the final because the next activity is about a video and also an evaluated exercise number 1 and exercise number 6. This is the last one. Jairo, I recommend that you go to the platform and try to do the exercise number 6 and number 1 and 6 number 2, okay? Because I'm going to evaluate
Okay,
maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow because
Yes.
I need to talk with Mr. Zavala in order to he assigned the exam maybe on Monday, okay? I
Okay.
consider will be available for you on Monday in the morning.
Está bien. Solo me gustaría que me confirmaran bien el día que va a estar el examen